If I had to give you a list of different cryptos that I would personally buy to hold for the next couple of years where I expect massive gains in return, I'd tell you it's extremely hard to choose just a couple. Because in the world of cryptocurrencies, there are tens of thousands of different coins. Some even estimate the amount of tokens is now already actually in the millions, with all a slightly different purpose or idea. And like I've said in many of my videos, it also depends highly on what part of the market we're in. The worse the market is doing, the more up in the ranks I am looking to invest. To give you an example, at the beginning of 2023, 1 Bitcoin equaled 13 Ethereum. 1 Bitcoin equaled 57.5 thousand ADA, and 1 Bitcoin equaled 3,600 DOT. But as time progressed, now today, 1 Bitcoin equals 17 Ethereum, 1 Bitcoin equals 105,000 ADA, and 1 Bitcoin equals 6,800 DOT. That is why Bitcoin dominance is important. I've often told you guys that I believe that the Bitcoin bear market, or really the crypto bear market, is already over. And part of it also has to do with the fact that the dominance is now getting towards levels we have not seen for a very long amount of time. But as the bull market starts going on again, what you see is that a lot of money flows into Bitcoin first. The deeper version is actually in here, where again, money goes into Bitcoin first. It increases the dominance by a lot as we again start to accelerate in altcoin season. It then heads over for a lot of parts into Ethereum, mostly because that's the easiest path to buying all these other tokens that are also based on Ethereum, or it's just the first thing that they might see because it's, well, the biggest in DeFi, second biggest crypto. It's just a very easy next step before going into some other very large cryptocurrencies, like for example your XRP, like for example a Cardano, like for example a Chainlink. And then as the market progresses and things get crazy and your alt season comes back, usually people start diversifying hard into even lower and lower altcoins. And that brings me to the point at the start of this video. Right now we're in the phase where Bitcoin just performs the best. So that means if you had to buy something with the highest amount of certainty of succeeding, Bitcoin is king. But that's only for right now. And most likely that will only be for a couple more months as Bitcoin picks up this dominance. Right now it's still only at 50%. As this starts to turn back around though, you start to understand when to basically get back into altcoins, because at that point the Bitcoin dominance is going to go down hard. Right now though, it's pretty clear to see Bitcoin does do significantly better than altcoins, which is why the dominance is picking up, but it's mostly just because the market is not crazy yet. So again, to get back to the point of the video, for the main rank, right, for the top of the top, it's just Bitcoin. That's the best thing to go for right now until we see some very bullish signs. The only problem with Bitcoin is that we already know that even though right now it might be the best, that is only a very small period of time. Afterwards, other altcoins are going to outperform it by far, and you're going to notice that with these days where Bitcoin is up 10%, and then a lot of altcoins that are even in the top 20 are up 80%, 50%, etc. that day. That's usually how a bull market goes. And if I had to pick some coins that are not in the crazy category, but in the top of the top category, I'd just start thinking about what is their utility. I think Ethereum is a pretty solid pick because even though the gains will not be too insane, it's one of those safer bets. Technology-wise, they're not actually that amazing because most cryptocurrencies, as you go down the ranks, can actually beat it because it's kind of stupid the way it's built. But in terms of TVL, total value locked, and from that perspective, from most metrics you can point towards, Ethereum just dominates this like crazy. And from that perspective, it's definitely something that I think is worth the investment because of how big they are. It's the main platformer. Most tokens get built on there. Most new projects that are coming from these TradFi companies are built on there. Except for NFT collections, apparently the NFT collection hub is Polygon. They've got some crazy partnerships with, I think even Walmart, but don't quote me on that. I know Starbucks for a fact, Reddit for a fact. And we recently have been seeing more and more where they are also doing some Pokemon projects, etc. Polygon seems to be that way for the NFT and just a lot of TradFi companies coming in. Having said that, again, if we're talking about TradFi, if we're talking about links to the real world, Chainlink is a really good example. But it's one of those coins where you don't really think about it too much, but fundamental wise, they're a game changer. That's basically because they've got these oracles. If you've got real world data, well, to basically be able to use DeFi, you need real world data and you need to know what happened in the real world. But how do you get that on chain? and how do you verify it in a decentralized manner. That's basically what they do. There's so many more parts to it, but that's the simplest of explanations. It's just very necessary as a bottom layer for the crypto realm, and they've got many upgrades on the pipeline. Things are usually pretty well in terms of how they have got their outlook, and so I usually just end up buying more and more Chainlink whenever I think about it. I kind of skipped over it, but XRP is my main crypto of choice. If I had to pick something that I think is overdue for a massive rally, I'd surely pick XRP. I think by far it's got the most potential to gain this run with the highest amount of certainty. That's a crypto that's at the top of the top. Because again, as you go lower in the ranks, there's going to be a lot of different crypto that have so much potential for a 20x, for a 50x, for a 1000x, but they're going to be less certain to do so. I think you guys understand, but as this project right here, for example, Casper, it's got $350 million worth of market cap. To double, well, the value needs to increase by $350 million, right? For the value of XRP to double, we need $28 billion additional dollars. Again, to actually increase by $28 billion worth of market cap, you don't actually need an influx of $28 billion. That's a misconception I see quite often. We've seen some articles just now that the US debt has climbed by over half of Bitcoin's market cap in a day. And the funniest part is, had this $275 billion that the US debt just increased by been put into Bitcoin, or right now they're speculating that the Bitcoin ETFs would open up a $200 billion floodgate that will all move into Bitcoin, very quickly, it would actually increase the market cap by significant amounts more. Similarly, whenever we see these articles of the SEC snatching $218 million in a day, or yada, 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 the damage from $218 million worth of a catch or money moving out is way more significant than the nominal value of that. Fun fact, in theory, you could have a multi-quadrillion-dollar project, even though only $1 entered the space. So to explain this really briefly, and why market cap is always a bad measure of, well, it's just a bad measure on its own. Usually it's based on liquidity and volume to get validity. And why that's so is, let's say I make a new token, Dusty token, for example. It's got 1 quadrillion tokens. So we can have 1 quadrillion, we can spend them all, we can have them all, you understand. The value is nothing, right? Until somebody gives it a value. What if I, out of my 1 quadrillion tokens that I've got, send it to somebody else and they send me $1 for it? That means the value of this Dusty token is now $1. So what's the market cap? Well, the market cap is basically the circulating supply, or perhaps total supply, depending on how you would like to see it, times the price, which in this case would be 1 quadrillion times 1. And again, you can kind of cheat the system again. If you've got extremely low fees on this network, or willing to invest a little bit, we could actually also increase this volume on here almost indefinitely. Would it be worth it? Probably not, but that basically gives it legitimacy. And that's what a lot of projects do to try and cheat their way towards the top. CoinMarketCap and most of these rankings don't tolerate them though, because there's a lot of criteria to be able to, be amongst the top of the top. But in theory, what I just described would be the #1 crypto project by far. And that's why in the stock world, you can basically have this too. You open a company up and basically say, hey, I think my company is worth $50 billion because I've got X amount of shares and I just sold one of them for $50, for example. Don't do it, because you'll be labeled a fraud and they might come to your house and get you a very, very nice fine. But in theory, it's possible. Original point being, though, that in theory, if $200 billion enters the space because of ETFs, which again can also come for Ethereum, come for XRP, these market caps will increase by significant amounts more because, for example, all the speculation that arises on the side of it. And because, again, this price can shift from $27.9 thousand to $50,000 without any new dollar coming in. If everybody, which doesn't happen in reality, but it's to give you guys an idea, if everybody decides not to sell below $50,000 anymore, $0 came in, but all of a sudden, the market cap is now doubled. You understand that drift, right? But with all that money coming in, though, the speculation is going to be so high and the hype is going to be so high that things just go out of proportion. And the fun part is that's all coming up quite shortly. To be a little bit more specific about XRP, they've been under the SEC lawsuit for such a long while. Didn't go on a crazy run in 2021. I think they're going to make up for it this run. I think Stellar is going to have some sort of similar performance. And there's many coins that I think are pretty exciting that many people are not talking about. But again, the next big thing we're going to look for, and that's what I'll keep you guys up to date on, is what the next phase is going to be. Is it going to be AI type of crypto, or is it going to be for like metaverse type of crypto? Is it going to be payment type of realms? Is it going to be exchange tokens? Is it going to be platform? is it going to be platformers? I'm not sure if we cut out there for a little second, but we'll just have to find out and figure out exactly what the big trend is going to be at what time. And the moment we notice that, the moment we see, I'll of course be sharing it the moment I notice. And we'll basically go from our main assets, so the Bitcoin and all these higher runs, to lower categories, which are a lot of shit coins, a lot of really crazy ideas where you've got a lot of chance to lose your money, but also a lot of potential to go from $1,000 to $40,000 overnight. But you gotta look at it when it's there. And the bull market, the way we would like to see it, is not there just quite yet. As I said, right now for the most part, Bitcoin's dominance is still picking up. We're gonna have to look for that turning point and then start to go crazy on the altcoins. As again, the dominance starts decreasing hard, we're gonna look for the riskier assets. But I'll keep you on call, I guess, for whenever that happens. So just stick around and understand my mission, understand my story, understand my strategy, and use it for your, entertainment purposes, but perhaps use it as a basis to do your own due diligence and, I guess, good luck investing.